Big video for you folks today, and in this video we're doing Detroit Lions versus Philadelphia Eagles. Got a special guest here, the man, the myth, the legend, Chase Sr. from Chas Sports. He does the Philadelphia Eagles, so you know this is going to get ruckus. But before we get into today's video, if you think it's a sound and smart idea to chain yourself to a tree in the middle of the woods, put blood all over you with meat right next to a pack of wolves, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors. And sometimes being a Lions fan, you can get eaten up. Also, take that like button with you and let that bad boy become a chew toy. Let's get into today's Lions versus Philadelphia Eagles. This is Chase Sr., Chas Sports. You've seen his face, why he's a big name. And we got him on today's video to talk about Eagles and Lions. What's going on, man?
MicroMike, always good to hop on with you. And the intros are always electric. So if you think it's a good idea to be naked in a forest with eagles hovering around you, with fish dangling from your body, then subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles now. I try to do my best.
That is pretty good. Yeah, you definitely got to subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles now. You know, again, they got fish. They got all sorts of crap going on over there. Make sure you subscribe and get that thing going. You can also find him on Twitter, Chase Sr. there. You see the Twitter handle. Go find him. Go ahead and subscribe. We got to talk about Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles. What is a key interesting part regarding the Lions defense in your offense? What does the Lions need to do to win?
So I have to give the Lions credit for how they've been able to build this football team in just 2 years of this current regime. And I'm not just saying this because of Dan Campbell being a really interesting figure on Hard Knocks. I mean, I hopped on the show last year, MicroMike, and I told you, I really like what the Lions are doing. I like how they're rebuilding this franchise after the disaster that was Matt Patricia. I think that Dan Campbell is somewhat underrated in terms of his coaching acumen. Everybody wants to talk about him as a meathead and say that he doesn't have that much coaching experience. I mean, the guy came up under Bill Parcells and was under Sean Payton for a little while. And when you see him in Hard Knocks interacting the way that he does with players and then how they interact with him, you see that they have a great level of fond respect for Dan Campbell and that new regime with what they're doing. Now, I think the Lions are going to be able to surprise a lot of people this season. I'm not sure if they're ready to pull off a monster upset week one against an Eagles team that has made a lot of massive improvements this year. I think the Eagles are set up for success as long as Jalen Hurts can take that next step as a passer. But we also know this, MicroMike, some crazy upsets happen week one. And this is a trend that has continued over the last couple of years. And it's a trend in which I would not be shocked one bit if the Lions end up winning this game. If they're able to cause havoc along that defensive line with Aiden Hutchinson leading the charge, then I could see a scenario in which the Eagles turn the football over at inopportune times. Jalen Hurts gets wrapped up a couple of times and they don't have those big explosive plays, and then they start pressing. If they can't get that ground game established, then that offense isn't the same. Hurts is also a completely different player when he has a lead as compared to when he's coming from behind. Now, the Eagles' offensive line is one of the best, deepest, most talented units in the NFL, so they might be able to counter what the Lions want to do with that defense. And Jeff Okudah is going to have to step up finally after being that top 5 pick a couple of years ago. The returns on him throughout the preseason and training camp have been pretty solid. But look, I'm not going to say that the Eagles are going to blow the Lions out because I actually think this is going to be a close game. I think it comes down to the wire. I think the Eagles end up winning it late, but I think the Lions impress a lot of people this year.
You know, last year we played you guys and we got decimated, desecrated, and defecated on with a 44-6 loss. I keep telling my subscribers that that's not going to be the case this year. Talk to Eagles fans, they think they're just going to easily roll on us. I feel like from an offensive perspective, the Detroit Lions have much more talent on this team this year compared to last year. Last year, Khalif Raymond and Quintez Cephas was our 1 and 2 wide receiver in that game. These guys are now 4 and 5 on the depth chart. We're talking about DJ Chark, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds in the fold. We have a cohesive offensive line. We did lose Big V for this game, but still the offensive line is really good. We got solid depth at the running back position. I feel the Detroit Lions can put up some points in this game. From an Eagles perspective, what do they got to do to slow down the Lions offense and Jared Goff?
I think they're going to have to generate a pass rush. And what's interesting about the Eagles, they've improved the defense. They have a really good front four. They finally invested in linebacker. That's a position that they've kind of neglected spending on over the last couple of years, but they drafted Nakobe Dean. They brought in Kaiser White, who was the leading tackler for the Chargers last year. Their secondary is pretty solid with Darius Slade, James Bradbury. The trade for C.J. Gardner-Johnson helped solidify a safety spot that still, even with him, does have some questions. But Jonathan Gannon, their defensive coordinator, isn't all that aggressive, and he doesn't send a lot of blitz packages. And I do think that's the one way, or one of the ways, to disrupt and bother Jared Goff, just because he's not all that mobile. And we see when there are standstill pocket quarterbacks who do get pressured, they don't end up performing all that well, and they get a little bit erratic. And I think that can certainly be said for Jared Goff. So it's that pass rush. And if I'm Jonathan Gannon, he doesn't like to send home blitzes because there's this trend the last couple of years in the NFL, whereas offenses have started to spread things out. Defenses have also countered that with spreading out their defenses. And because of that, they're not blitzing as much. And Jonathan Gannon is kind of a new age analytical defensive coordinator, but you watch Jared Goff when he gets pressured, he's not the same quarterback. And I think that's really the backbone with what the Eagles have to go with this game plan going into week one. Send home some blitz packages. But if they get home with 4 against this offensive line that is without Halapoulivaati Vaitai, who was actually the starting left tackle for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl back in Super Bowl 52, that could be how the Eagles win this game.
Folks, let me know in the comment section right now who is going to win this game. Put E for Eagles if you're an Eagles guy, you think they're going to win, or put L for Lions if you are the one pride. I'm curious to see what you guys think on this one. Look, you already know what I think, but I want to hear what you guys think for sure. I think there's a player for the Philadelphia Eagles offense that is under the radar right now. Actually, 2 players. Zach Pascal, the wide receiver who will be number 3. He's really good in the slot. He's got that big body frame. He's going to hit a lot of the middle passes against the Lions defense. And that's where I feel like we have a problem, is the middle of the defense there with their linebackers. The same with Dallas Goedert, your guys' tight end. How do you think they're going to be utilized against the Lions defense? Do you see a lot of action getting thrown their way?
Yeah, that's a point of emphasis for Philadelphia, I imagine, because while I like what the Lions are doing with their front, their linebacking core, their secondary, without the emergence of Jeff Okudah, some questions there. Chase Lucas was certainly a hard-knock star. I think he's going to get some significant snaps in week 1, but is he ready to go up against an A.J. Brown, a DeVonta Smith? And you make a good point there, Mike, in saying that the Eagles want to target the seams. They want to target the middle of the field. And Zach Pascal, I think, is a very underrated wide receiver 4 behind A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, as well as Quez Watkins, that possession type of receiver. And by trading away Jalen Reagor, gives him more of an opportunity to be a part of this offense, an offense that he knows because Nick Sirianni was his offensive coordinator a couple of years ago with the Indianapolis Colts. I think Dallas Goedert nationally is slept on. He's one of the more gifted tight ends in the NFL. Last year, he averaged more than 11 yards per catch. So he is really dangerous when he does get targeted. And Jalen Hurts really likes throwing that seam ball right up the middle. He's comfortable making that throw because he is somewhat limited as a passer. He likes throwing it deep with touch. He likes throwing those seam balls. He kind of struggles on some of those out routes because he's not the cleanest thrower in the NFL among all quarterbacks. So I do think that's a point of emphasis for Nick Sirianni this week, and I hope that's what the Eagles try to target, because they're targeting those seam balls and they get it going with Dallas Goedert, some crossers with Zach Pascal. That's when everything on the outside opens up with A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and then that allows them to get that ground game going. And I do want to go back to an earlier point that I made. Eagles are a completely different team when they're ahead. So that's one thing to watch out for in this game. If they get ahead and they establish that ground game, they're a really tough team to come back against.
You just talked about the ground game. You guys have a running back in Miles Sanders. Right now, the report coming out that he's questionable. Do you know if he's going to play? Do you think he's going to pick up on the ground running if he does play, and they're really going to give him the football to establish that run game? And if not, do you think Jalen Hurts is going to get out of the pocket and run with his legs like he did last year against the Lions?
Yeah, I think Hurts always will display that running ability. There is a little bit of a trend with him as well, where when he gets pressured, he always goes and rolls out to the right. So I think the Lions might try to game plan against that. Maybe they line up Hutchinson on the left side of the line to keep him from getting out to the right, because he's a lot more comfortable throwing on the move, going to his right with his throwing arm as compared to going against it. And then you go back to Miles Sanders. The problem with this guy, really, since he's come into the league out of Penn State, he's had a lot of soft tissue injuries. He's had a lot of nagging injuries. And unfortunately for him, he's been a really dynamic ball carrier who's displayed a lot of elite ability to hit the home run ball. But his consistency has been an issue because of injuries, but also just because of his running style. So I'm not sure if he's going to play. He's got that hamstring injury. He has been practicing throughout this week, so that's a good sign for him. If he can't go, or if he gets banged up, you go Kenneth Gainwell, you go Boston Scott, and then their new acquisition, Trey Sermon, who they claimed off waivers from San Francisco.
Folks, I'm literally 10 subscribers away from 23,900. If you're watching this and you ain't subscribed, that's some BS. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to jump ahead of the Eagles here from Chat Sports. They got a lot of subscribers ahead of me. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so, hey, we can fly and make this channel go into an upward direction. That's what it is all about. If you are Dan Campbell, you're the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and you have a game plan against the Philadelphia Eagles to try to win a game, how would you game plan against it? What can the Lions do to attack weaknesses on your football team?
Stop the run. Don't let the Eagles establish their ground game. And if I'm Dan Campbell, I need Jalen Hurts to prove to me that when he's in a spot where he has to throw between 30, 40 times per game, that he can actually thrive and flourish in doing that. I think he's more of a quarterback who's comfortable with throwing it between 20 and 30 times. And then the Eagles get that ground game established. That's when they're really, really difficult to play up against. You saw it last year. They got off to a slow start. They were able to turn things around. And a big part of that, they changed their offensive philosophy. Early in the year, they were throwing the most, or at least some of the most among all teams in the NFL on first down. And they kind of put themselves behind the sticks and behind the eight ball a little bit. Then they changed that philosophy, started going to that ground game. And while they didn't beat a team with a winning record last year, their formula, get an early lead, establish the ground game, establish time of possession, burn the clock, play downhill. And when the Eagles are playing downhill in a physical style, that's when we see them be dangerous. So if I'm Dan Campbell, if I'm Aaron Glenn, and I'm trying to draw up a defensive scheme, I'm stopping the run, I'm loading the box, I'm making Jalen Hurts burn me with his arm, because I haven't really seen him do that a lot in his NFL career up to this point. Now, if he does, then you're kind of screwed, because then the Eagles can pass and they can run it, and that's when they become a very difficult team to muster. But I think that's the formula for Detroit. Force Jalen Hurts to throw.
We got to go prediction right now. Score prediction. First, I'll go ahead and go, and then I'll let you give a score prediction. I think the line's going to take the L here, 38-32. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. You guys got a fantastic defense. I just feel like the Lions can put up some points as well. But unfortunately, we take the L. What do you think is going to happen with this game?
Yeah, and if the Lions take the L, it's not a bad opening season loss. I think the Lions are a team that, won 3 games last year. They could win 7 to 8 games this year. I really do believe that, with the culture that they have and the roster that they're building right now. I don't know if they're a playoff team yet, but Dan Campbell said it best. This Lions team on Hard Knocks can be the team that could, and I think that they could surprise a lot of people just like they did last year. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think it comes down to the wire. I think the Lions are feisty. They fight. They live up to that mentality of Dan Campbell, and I think it's going to be like a 28-24 game Eagles, and it goes down to the wire.
Love it. Appreciate you getting on here talking Detroit Lions. Game is on Sunday, folks. I'm doing a live watch party on my channel. Make sure you're there. He's going to be actually doing the 49ers game, and yes, we're going to troll him during that game, so expect it. Appreciate everybody hanging out. With that said, folks, adios.